Welcome to All You Need to Know, the show where you hear about everything and learn about nothing. Here are your hosts, Quinn Eaton and DJ Pig.
Welcome to episode 128 of All You Need to Know. My name is Quinn Eaton.
I'm Don John Porker.
And I'm Isaac Bear.
Okay, so DJ Pig went by a different name there, but we're all familiar with it, and that was close enough to his regular name, so we don't have to worry about any discrepancies there. Now, today we are doing it a little bit different, right, guys? We are Zooming, okay? And everybody is probably familiar with Zoom by this point. And we're going to go ahead and acknowledge that there will most likely be some technical difficulties along the way. If that happens, then most importantly, we need to point out that either DJ or Isaac, for the most part, will just go on a rant about something random, and that will kind of let you know that they lost connection or could not hear me for the time being. But we've got a really interesting episode otherwise. You know, those parts will be interesting. But isn't this an exciting episode, DJ? I think this is different than anything we've ever done.
I'm sorry, Quinn. I don't speak Chinese.
All right. So technical difficulties have already started, but we're going to power through them. Can you hear me right now?
Of course. Yes.
Okay. So it cut out whenever I was asking you a question, but let's try that again. This is a pretty interesting idea for an episode, don't you think?
Yes. I think it's a great idea. You know, hey, a lot better than some of the other ideas you've had in the past. Let me just go out there and say it. Let me just go ahead and call that out right now.
Thank you, Isaac, for always keeping us grounded and letting us know that we do a terrible job here at the podcast. You're great for reminding us of that, because especially whenever you send us in the emails that usually remind us, those are very helpful. But DJ, usually people tune into this podcast. They tune in to All You Need to Know, and they just don't understand how this podcast works. Do you think that you could maybe give those people that are listening an idea of how this podcast works?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, a lot of times we like to approach the podcast as if we're writing a song, and we lay down the beat and the melody, and we write these lyrics, right? And then we pass it off to the audience for that last 5% of just, we record it too, but we pass it off to the audience for a nice little listen.
That's true. And they get to choose whether they put it in a playlist or they listen to it time and time again, or maybe they just listen to it once and then they say, this was not very good. Regardless, we give it to them and they do something with it. Now, Isaac, I know this is probably a part of the episode that you despise, right? Because we do it every single week where we try to explain how the podcast works, but we've done it, for 2 years now. Don't you think people already know how it works?
Well, it's good to remain positive, and maybe you've got some people that are just joining. Maybe you're growing your fan base, and perhaps it's good to let them know, what the plan is.
Possibly what to expect, a little roadmap, if you will.
Exactly.
So that is a great point, Isaac. And really what I was doing there was setting you up to really just say how bad the podcast is, but you didn't. Instead, you were constructive instead of destructive, and I really appreciate that.
Hey, always my pleasure.
Now, I said we were Zooming, right? So we're on the, I guess you could say the app or the software known as Zoom. So this will also be available, hopefully, on our YouTube page, our YouTube channel, if everything goes well. If everything doesn't go well, then it'll just be the podcast. But we're trying this to see if we could possibly work with this technology. And I think it's going to be really helpful and easy if this works. So we're just going to kind of find out as we go. But I think now is as good a time as any to jump into today's topic, because we do have a lot to get to. Is everybody ready to do that? You can put your thumbs up. You can say yes, or you can do a little reaction. I'm gonna go ahead and put a thumbs up as my reaction, because I'm ready to jump into today's topic.
It's a little bit cringe.
It's
a little bit cringe, but I'm just gonna. I'm ready. Let me give a. Let me give you a real life thumbs up, huh?
Okay.
How about that, huh?
Thank you. And like I said, it'll be good if you're watching it on YouTube, but really bad if you're listening to it over the podcast, format. Regardless, we're going to keep moving forward. Today's episode 128, People You Should Know. All right. So this is an interesting format for this episode, but we thought it would be fun, right? So these are people, what we're discussing today are people that you should know, people that have affected your life, whether you realize it or not, and you should know who these people are. Now we're gonna do it a little bit differently. It's gonna be sort of a game, right? So we've got DJ and Isaac are going to try to guess initially. I'll give them a name and they have to try to guess what this person invented. And that's why you should know them, is because they're known for this invention that they have, or they, some sort of idea that they came up with. I think it's going to be interesting also for the audience, because I'll give them a name, and then the audience that is listening, they can say, wow, I think they probably did this, right along with DJ and Isaac. And of course, I guess I'm, what could you call me? The game master, because I know who the people are and what they invented. Would that be fair to say?
Yes.
That's a great idea.
Okay. All right. So we'll just roll with that. Even though you guys are smiling at me, I don't know if you guys have sent a text message back and forth to each other or something like that, but we'll just roll right into it. So the first name that we have here, guys, is Willis Carrier. Okay. Now, what do you think someone named Willis Carrier would have invented?
I'll hand that off to DJ. I'll let DJ go first
Okay.
for these guesses.
There's
First
a little
thing
hint.
comes,
There's a little hint in the name, maybe.
Willis Carrier.
Yes.
First thing that comes to my mind is hot dog buns.
Okay. And why is that?
Well, I mean, the hot dog bun carries the hot dog, right?
Ah, interesting connection there, but I understand what you're saying. Can you elaborate a little bit further?
Can I go a little bit further?
Yes.
No, that was all you needed.
That's
right
it. Okay, all right. And Isaac, you want to take a stab at it? Because I'll go ahead and say DJ is very close to what this person actually invented. But
He's very close, eh?
yes, very close. Very close.
Oh, gosh.
Willis Carrier.
I mean, I'll take this more serious road here, and I have to say that Willis Carrier almost sounds like a wireless carrier, right? And so perhaps maybe something like Verizon or AT&T. My guess, something with technology. That's gonna be my big guess. But wireless carrier isn't really a brand; it's more of a concept.
Sure. What you talking about, Willis? He's talking about air conditioning. Okay, Willis Carrier invented the modern air conditioning unit. Okay, he invented it as a way to cool down the rooms of the company that he worked for in Brooklyn, New York, and he actually used a similar technology to that of a heater to heat a room. So he just pushed air through cold coils rather than hot coils. So I think we can all thank Willis Carrier, because I definitely could not live without air conditioning.
So I just want to, before we move on, I just want to kind of get your thought process there, as far as how the name Willis Carrier was in any way associated to air conditioning.
I missed it by that much.
There is an air conditioning company. You might often see Carrier on an air conditioning unit. That's an air conditioning company, and I'm guessing it has some association with Willis Carrier. So that was a little bit of a connection. If anyone is familiar, who would be familiar? Those who work in heating and air. They would probably be like, oh, I probably could have guessed that if they didn't get it already. And yeah, DJ was very close. He was very close with the hot dog bun guess, but no, it was air conditioning. And like I said, I could not live without it. I don't know how people did it. Okay, but I definitely could not. And it was in 1902 whenever he invented air conditioning. So, I mean, how do you guys feel? I mean, air conditioning seems pretty necessary, at least for me.
Yeah, air conditioning. I have the central unit, Out back, some people got the window unit. Hey, as long as I keeping it chilly, I'm all right. I'm happy,
What temperature do you usually like to keep it at? Excuse me.
I usually I heard that voice crack there.
Yeah, it was weird.
We'll just move on past that. Usually I keep it at about a easy breezy 71. Now I know some people are like, 71, that's a little bit warm. Well, my father, bit of a cheapskate, hey, no disrespect, 77. Hey, you got me sweating in my own house if you think I'm running around at 77. I'll keep it at a 71, easy breezy, all right? And it stays that way, and that's how I like it.
Sometimes I keep it at a 70. So
I usually keep mine somewhere between 68, 70, somewhere in there.
okay. And I appreciate you not saying that number. Usually
What, 69?
Yeah. So your maturity level usually keeps you in that box. And I thought you had maybe moved your way out of it, but there you have it. You went right back in. You dove headfirst into the box of immaturity. That's fine, though, DJ. That's perfectly fine. You guys ready to move on to the next person that you should know? So that was Willis Carrier. That's someone that you should know, someone that you should think every single day.
Thank you, Willis Carrier.
He's no right brother.
He's no right brother, but he sure ain't a wrong brother. I'll go ahead and tell you that.
I heard that.
James Alexander Dewar. What do you guys think he invented?
What was that last name?
James Alexander Dewar.
Dewar.
Yes.
I'm going to go ahead and just guess barbed wire fencing.
Okay. Good guess. Good guess. I see where you're making the connection.
Here's the facts. What is a common theme with people that are referred to in the past with three names? With their full name. I'll tell you, it's assassins. John Wilkes Booth, Lee Harvey Oswald. There's more. Their names escape me, but we generally refer to them by their full name.
You're possibly saying James Alexander Dewar is grouped in with John Wilkes Booth and Lee Harvey Oswald. That's what you're saying.
I'm saying that he probably invented assassinations.
Okay. So Isaac takes a jab at assassinations. DJ, you said barbed wire fencing, right?
Mm-hmm.
James Alexander Dewar invented the Twinkie, right? Twinkies were invented in Schiller Park, Illinois on April 6, 1930 by James Alexander Dewar, a baker for the Continental Baking Company. So that, again, you guys were not very close with that one. But hey, that's fine. That's a hard thing to guess because there's no connection. It's not like his last name was Twinkerson, right?
Did you say that he invented the brass monkey? Because that's what I heard on my end.
Twinkie. He invented the Twinkie.
Twinkie, right.
Huh.
And so
I wonder if he would be proud. I wonder if he would be proud today, looking at the Twinkies of today. I wonder if the Twinkies of yesteryear were as good as the Twinkies of today.
I would go ahead and say that a freshly baked Twinkie from a person that worked at a baking company, the Continental Baking Company, which sounds very official. I would say that one of those would be better than one of the extremely processed Twinkies that we have come to know today. But that's just a guess, I guess. Thank you, DJ, for your input. You guys have any thoughts on
you see, Quinn, I'll just say it. It's hard to give input when I don't hear anything. Sure. It's hard to give input when there's words coming out of your mouth, but I don't know what they are. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I understand that there is technical difficulties today. We're just keeping you in the loop. We're just keeping the audience in the loop. That's all.
Right.
You do sound like Bumblebee the Transformer.
Yes, okay. That's actually spot on.
The audience needs to be kept up to date as far as what is happening while we record. We are just trying something new. We're trying to Zoom here, and so we apologize for the many technical difficulties that we'll probably stumble across.
Just in case they didn't catch it the first 4 times, we should inform them that we are, in fact, Zooming. Just in case they didn't catch it the first 4 times, right?
Team Zoomy today. So he invented the Twinkie. That was James Alexander Dewar.
I feel like that's not hard to invent.
But it's still easy invention. But still, what an important creation that he came up with. I mean, imagine life without a Twinkie.
Right. I mean, Probably, I guess, so the last 10 years of my life or so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Well, let's think about how important a role it played in the first Zombieland movie. Imagine the first
Ah,
Zombieland movie without the comic relief of searching for a Twinkie. Now that
sure.
I think kind of puts it into perspective there. Let's
It
move on.
reminds me of a meme that I once heard, a classic one, and about how we as humans nowadays take for granted. Well, the meme referenced the Dorito, right? Extreme nacho cheese flavor, where we have experienced more not extreme nacho cheese flavor than a peasant, you know, in the 1700s would ever experience in their whole lifetime.
Sure.
Imagine a peasant who lives on grass and water, tastes one Dorito, one ounce of that extreme nacho cheese flavor. It's the same concept, We eat a Twinkie, we take a Twinkie for granted. Think about 100 years ago, I think a Twinkie would kill a man. I don't think
That's
their body
true.
could handle the extreme cream and sweet cake.
Yeah, I love a good sweet cake, and you're exactly right. Because not only is that Dorito nacho cheese, it's extreme nacho cheese.
It's
So
extreme nacho cheese flavor.
You're exactly right. It would be too much to handle for people back in the day. Let's move on to the next one, okay? Because so far you guys are 0 for 2, but I think you might get one of these along the way as far as guessing which invention they came up with. How about I give you the name Isaiah Rogers? Does that name ring a bell?
What, Rogers?
Isaiah Rogers.
No, it doesn't ring a bell if that's what you're looking for. If I had to guess what Isaiah Rogers invented, I would say maybe like something on the construction side. Maybe he invented traffic cones.
Okay.
I think traffic cones is a good guess.
Good guess.
I'm going to guess that he invented Aaron Rodgers.
So Isaiah Rogers is Aaron Rodgers' dad, is what you're saying. That's a
Oh
really
my-
good guess. I will go ahead and say, let me go ahead and spell out the last name for you, Rogers. Does that change your guess?
Translations get lost over time, Quinn.
Okay, so you're saying that Aaron Rodgers' dad dropped the D from his last name, but Aaron Rodgers still has the D in his last name. And don't make a joke here, DJ. I know I set you up to make an easy joke there, but let's move past that. So you think that Isaiah Rogers' invention is Aaron Rodgers, and then Isaac thinks that his invention is traffic cones. Both of those are good guesses. Those are educated guesses, right?
Mm.
He invented, drum roll please, indoor plumbing. So in 1829, the brilliant young architect, 26-year-old Isaiah Rogers, sent ripples of awe throughout the country with the innovative Tremont Hotel in Boston. It was the first hotel to have indoor plumbing and became the prototype for the first idea of indoor plumbing. I'm not sure how he did it, but imagine a hotel without indoor plumbing, right? That would be pretty difficult.
I wonder did they also have to invent sinks at the same time and toilets at the same time? Did they invent it all at the same time? What are you indoor plumbing? If toilets don't exist, what are you plumbing?
Porta potty on the inside of the building. You go, you sit, and you poop right down the pipe, and it just goes straight down into the ground.
It's just a hole. It's just instead of sitting in an outhouse where it goes into a hole in the ground, it's just an outhouse 3 stories up, and it just goes into a pipe that goes into a hole in the ground. That's all.
I'm
Well,
sure that. Go ahead, DJ. I'm sorry.
Guys were tired of going out in the cold and coming in, and their wives making fun of them.
I'm tired of pooping in holes in the ground outside. I want to poop in holes in the ground inside.
Exactly.
Yes. And so eventually they were also able to pair that with the beauty of air conditioning, so they didn't ever have to take a hot poop. So you have to remember that all these people had to go through so much in the beginning. And what you guys are really bringing up is the fact that I feel like so many things were invented in a period of 100 to 150 years, from the beginning of the 1800s to probably 1950.
That's actually, Quinn, that's what we call the Industrial Revolution. But I like where your mind's at. But there is a name for that.
I appreciate it, yeah. And I said 150 years. I just mean that was the wrong math there. Just that industrial revolution. Now it's like, what's an invention going to be? The ShamWow, a thing that you can put over your gutters. Now inventions are not as flashy as they used to be, right? And that's something that I feel like keeps people from trying to be inventive and creative. So that's something that I
Kind of. I guess so. But perhaps we take it for granted nowadays.
right, the inventions or what we already have.
Right. I mean, maybe back in the day, they invented air conditioning, but nowadays they invent little holding wires for your AirPods. So you trade out your wired headphones for AirPods, and then you lose it, so you get wires for your AirPods. So maybe we just take it for advantage.
So you're saying that there's a movement back to wiring your headphones, even though the headphones are wireless.
Hey, we don't do politics here, okay? We just report the facts.
That's true. Yeah, and I agree. I've had my fair share of wireless headphones, and sometimes I'm like, gosh, I wish I could keep up with these easier. And the people that invented wired headphones are like, yeah, that's what we thought too. And now they're on the street because they lost all their money to all these wireless headphone companies. But again, that's the power of an invention. Something comes along that's better, and it replaces that former invention. So that's part of the invention process. Should this episode been called Inventions, or is it good that we're keeping it with the people you should know title?
I think it's people you should know, because maybe they are making inventions, sure, but really the focus is on the person. Also, the fact that it was up to you to decide the people to pick, and you just decided to choose people with inventions. So,
well, I thought it would be interesting because I tried to pick things that we live with in our daily lives, and we don't ever know, who was the person that came up with it. So I thought that would be a little bit educational. It also be very
not
interesting.
a bad idea by any means. Just an observation. That's all.
Yeah, and I appreciate it, Isaac. So are we ready? DJ, you just yawned. Are you tired? Are you bored? What's going on?
Yeah, I'm a little tired. Not so much bored.
Sure. Well, I appreciate that. Let's move on to the next name. Okay, this one will throw you all for a loop. There's a hint for you. Otto Rohwedder. Otto Rohwedder. What do you think Otto Rohwedder invented? Go ahead, DJ.
I am going to guess that he invented the fire hose for the fire trucks, the ones that'll blow your freaking face off.
And is there a connection there with the fire hose because his last name sounds like he would be making things wetter?
Rohwedder. Yeah, he's wetting the rows.
The roads.
Rows of people. The
rows. Okay. So that makes sense. Now, just reminds you, DJ, his last name is not derived from what he invented. It was given to him through his family, generations by generation passed down. But I like that you're trying to make that connection, right? So, Isaac, what's a guess for you for Otto Rohwedder?
Hey, along a different line, realizing DJ's mistake as far as names, my educated guess would be the founder of AutoZone.
So, Otto Rohwedder.
Hey, get in the zone. AutoZone,
Came up with AutoZone. Well, guess what, Isaac? You are correct. Otto Rohwedder invented and opened the first AutoZone in 1957.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, so it was Otto was his first name, and so he was trying to figure out, I guess, a different way to give people the automotive parts that they needed. And he kind of was like, well, my name's Otto, and this is a place or a zone where you can get stuff, and therefore that created AutoZone. So that was a really good guess. So Isaac finally has one, right?
Could you spell his first name for me? His
first name is spelled OTTO. So not like the AutoZone. It was it says here, I'm reading that it says that it was originally spelled AutoZone, so OTTO. But then people were like, well, there's a lot of automotive stuff in here. Can we just change it to AUTO? And he was like, sure, that's fine, because he had a bunch of money, so he didn't care. But that's interesting. I didn't know that. And I think that AutoZone, like I said, is a part of our daily lives. So DJ, you seem upset, and I'm not really sure why.
I bet he hated John C. O'Reilly.
O'Reilly. Yes, auto
Wow.
parts. So there are a lot of different auto parts stores. Really,
What a
uh,
connection.
it's
to be
kind of
made.
like it's kind of like how the drugstores work, right? Because it seems like if there's an AutoZone, there's also an O'Reilly's Auto Parts, and they're just right across from each other. That's what I've noticed, and I'm sure, like you said, he hates O'Reilly Auto Parts. But why?
There are drug stores. I've been going to the street corner for years.
Well, and so what I mean there, DJ, is like a Walgreens, a CVS, where you can get, all kinds of you can get, some food there. You can get medicine over the counter, stuff like that. So not what you were thinking about. But how about we move on to the next person, because I'm scared of what DJ might say if we continue to talk about this. The next person that I will introduce to you all is Adam Curry. What does it sound like Adam Curry would have thought up? What's going on? I hear
Okay.
some whining or some crying in the background of somebody's.
That's not on me. No,
Okay.
It's
that's
my
not
mom.
me.
It's my mom.
Is she okay?
I don't know. I heard Dad yell.
All right. Well, we don't.
That's a joke.
We don't.
That was
Yeah.
It was a
we
bad
don't.
joke.
We don't support domestic violence here, DJ. And so that was not the best joke you've ever had, but it was a good attempt at one. What do you think Adam Curry invented?
Okay, let me lay out the facts. Curry food, Indian, right? It's Indian food. So clearly he was Indian. Now, what do they have a lot of in India? People. What do they not have a lot of in India? A low poverty rate. So what did Stephen Curry invent?
Adam Curry.
Adam Curry.
He invented toilets.
Okay, so we've already talked about indoor plumbing, so I doubt that I would bring up, toilets. And you said Stephen Curry. I think you were trying to reference Stephen Curry, who plays basketball for the Golden
It's all
State
the same.
Warriors.
It's all the same.
So DJ, if he's going by how his last guest went, he would say that Adam Curry invented Stephen Curry. But let's see if DJ goes along with that, or he has a different guess this time.
I personally think that Adam Curry invented all of the names of the animals that we know now.
Okay. So I'll go ahead and say that that's not right.
Okay.
Adam Curry is credited with inventing the podcast. Okay. Now it's kind of up for dispute, but apparently Adam Curry is, for the most part, known for creating the podcast, and so I felt like that would be appropriate for us to put that in there. Now, Isaac, I saw
Isaac,
that
we're
you were,
filming the video.
Isaac, I saw that you were cracking up down there.
Can't help it. I'm sorry.
Is it because of DJ's guess?
Yeah, just caught me off guard. That's all.
Hey, we stumped our toe with domestic violence, but we came back strong.
Yes. So, Adam Curry, created the podcast, and let's hold it together, there, gentlemen. I know that things.
I'm not used to having the video on me. That's all.
Yeah,
it is.
the
I
video doesn't-
apologize.
It's very different. It's very different. But so both of you guys, DJ, you weren't close. I won't say that you were close there, because that was one of the most off the wall guesses I've ever heard. I don't think that anyone is just established as a person that names the animals. It sounds like he sits on a throne and has brought the animals and he names it. He goes duck.
He
Things
just
like that.
he
Don't think that
He
exists.
just assumed that the biblical Adam, his last name was Curry. That's just he just
I
drew a
see.
line.
I thought maybe
see.
they left it out.
I see. So just an honest mistake by DJ there. But so Adam Curry did not invent all of the animal names that we know this day. He invented the podcast, which is a lot lesser than what DJ guessed. And now we are down to our final person that you should know. And this one, I think this one has a shot for you guys to guess. So far we only have one right. But let's go ahead and throw out the name if you guys are ready. William Hannah Joseph Barbera. 4 names.
4 names. William Hannah Joseph Barbera.
Yes.
I mean, going off what we know, 3 names assassin, 4 names serial killer.
Is that right?
So by logic alone, we assume that the man invented pavement, asphalt for road.
Asphalt. Yes. Okay. So that's a good guess. DJ?
Cocaine.
All right. So again, a very strange
Not
guess.
not a bad guess though. You got to
Yeah.
say.
It does sound like William Hanna Joseph Barbera would be trying to move those OZs, but he's not. Okay. What he is doing is inventing the Flintstones. William Hanna Joseph Barbera invented the Flintstones. Now, not the vitamins,
The inventor
but the
of the
show.
Flintstones was a serial killer?
No. So the connection
That
that you
moved
make.
cocaine?
No. So again, guys, you guys are making the guesses of who this person is, and then I come in and then actually tell you who invented such things. So
Right.
William Hanna Joseph Barbera, which should have probably thought about shortening that name, invented the Flintstones, which yabba dabba do. You know what I'm saying? I love the
Saying you say that for us like he would in the show?
Can I say yabba dabba do like Fred?
Yeah, like
Flintstone
you would in the show.
Right.
Give us your best yabba dabba do.
I can try. Is that can I? Is a good college try? Okay.
Just go ahead.
All right. Yabba dabba doo. Is that okay?
Mm.
I couldn't
I
have
don't
asked
think-
for anything more.
I thought that was okay. And then he slides
That's
down the
great.
dinosaur's tail, right?
Right.
Flintstones. It's the Flintstones. I loved that show. What do you think was better, the Flintstones or the Jetsons?
Flintstones.
The Jetsons was pretty cool though, because I mean, and it's really one way or the other because the Flintstones were prehistoric and then the Jetsons were set in the future. So they just kind of went opposite directions. But I feel like they're compared a lot. I like the Flintstones. I'll take the Flintstones 9 times out of 10 though.
The Jetsons are just a little too liberal for me.
Okay, sure. And Isaac?
Well, this would be an awkward situation to be in, as I now have to inform you that I have neither seen the Flintstones or the Jetsons regularly. I only know about them. I never did
Okay.
watch them.
So, but I guess you would just go ahead and say, you know what, I like the Flintstones better, just because you're maybe more familiar with them.
Sure.
Okay, so that sounds fair. And guys, that's it. That's the list of names. Out of every single name that I announced, only one person guessed correctly. Or did they? I'm sure people thought that it was a little strange that Isaac got that one right. I'll go ahead and inform both Isaac and the audience that Otto Rohwedder did not create or invent AutoZone. Okay.
I knew it. There was no way.
Isaac is violently hitting his chair that he's sitting in because he's so upset. He had so much passion and excitement behind the fact that he was able to get one right. Otto Rohwedder actually invented sliced bread. So it's been around for, it says less than a century, but Otto Rohwedder was the inventor of sliced commercial loaves. And he was born in Iowa, and he was a Missouri-based jeweler. So I don't know how he really got into the sliced bread
He was
business.
a what?
Jeweler, like Puff Puff jeweler?
He was a Jew?
He was a jeweler. He worked with jewelry. So both, again, maybe those were technical difficulties or just you guys were cracking jokes. I'm not sure. But that's another thing that I'm thankful for, because I personally have had to slice some bread recently, and goodness gracious, does it
It's a
suck.
little messy. You
Yes,
have to have a good knife.
that's true. So I'm very thankful for Otto Rohwedder, which it sounds to me like he was probably bullied possibly in school. People probably called him Otto Bedwetter, you would have to think, right?
Mm.
So I thought that was fun to include one in there that wasn't actually correct, so then we could go back later and fix it and then also disprove Isaac and tell him that he was wrong. But that is the list of names, and those are people you should know. So just to recap, Willis Carrier invented air conditioning. James Alexander Dewar invented the Twinkie. Isaiah Rogers invented indoor plumbing. Otto Rohwedder did not create AutoZone. He created sliced bread. Adam Curry is credited for podcast, and William Hanna Joseph Barbera created the Flintstones. And that is all we have for today. Any closing statements, guys? It's a good list of people you should know.
Closing statement? I don't think so. I think I'm upset that you led me on like that to me to believe in the AutoZone creator.
You had to think that was a stretch, right?
You backstabbed me, and for this, you cannot be forgiven.
Okay. And
My
I guess
closing statement
sure
is
go ahead.
that I need to turn my air conditioner on because it is now sitting at about 77 degrees in my room, and I am sweating.
Okay. So you have reason to be thankful for Willis Carrier, but we also have reason to be thankful for all these people that, if you did not know, have a big impact on your daily life. So I thought that was a good episode. It was interesting. It was informative, more informative than it usually is. But thank you guys for joining via Zoom, which Zoom is not, a sponsor of any kind, but it is the program that we use to get together today.
Anybody sponsor this episode today, Quinn?
No, sir.
Any sponsors?
We've only ever had one sponsor that was real, and we're still working on others because that one sponsor did not go well. So thank you for reminding us of that, Isaac. But that's going to wrap it up for this episode of All You Need to Know. My name is Quinn Eaton.
I am John Porker.
I'm Isaac Bear.
And you guys, take it easy.
This has been All You Need to Know. If you have a topic you would like to hear about, message us on Twitter or Facebook, or send us an email at allyouneedtoknow00@gmail.com. Rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, and tune in every Wednesday because here at AYN2K, we've got you covered.